All right, folks, welcome to GAMcast Live, the biggest story of the day, September 13th, 2022. The biggest story of the day today is new DOJ subpoenas of Trump allies over January 6th is both an unprecedented attack on the rule of law and election interference, trying to influence what's going to happen in the November 2022 elections coming up, okay? Anyway, folks, welcome to the Great American Mail, the Florida and Georgia lawyer that breaks down the news of the day through the lens of the Constitution, the law, and history. Folks, we'll let Tucker tell you what's going on here, and then we're going to tell you, again, we try to keep these 4 minutes or less so you know the biggest story of the day, but here's what's going on.
A subpoena for Merrick Garland's DOJ issued in the past week. And what it demands is both unlawful and without precedent in American history.
Now, before he gets to that, folks, the role at the traditional rule at the DOJ was we do not indict people, right? We do not prosecute people within 60 days of election. It is day 56 until the election, folks. And they're doing this, and they're doing it to keep Trump in the news and talk about January 6th to try and, keep Democrats to do better in the upcoming election. That's what it's about. But anyway, this is also about the rule of law and what's going on here. I want you to understand what they're going to subpoena him about. Take a listen.
The subpoena claims to be investigating, quote, any claim that the vice president and or president of the Senate had the authority to reject or choose not to count presidential electors.
Now, let me tell you what's going on here, folks. You have to go over to our Substack page, greatamericanmail.substack.com, greatamericanmail.substack.com. Remember, it's M-A-I-L, not M-A-L-E. I put a link in the description. If you look at this is the second in a two-part series that will break down the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and how you're able to challenge certification and things of that nature, okay? If you want to read that, take a look at it yourself. Here's what's going on, basically, okay? They are subpoenaing people and investigating over what is called the law, it's called a political question, right? This would be akin to subpoenaing a legislator saying, hey, I think you were going to vote against raising the minimum wage, or I think you're going to vote against the Inflation Creation, or they call it the Inflation Reduction Act, right? That's what this would be akin to, right? There's a whole claim, and again, if you go up to our Substack page, we got about 4 or 5 articles if you want to scroll through there and take a look. But the second one will give you the rundown of how it worked, why it came about to be. But there's nothing improper about that. It was purely a political question. And in fact, if you go to that article, I think you will find in there, if it's in there, I believe it may be another one we wrote, but approximately 9 or 8 senators and 139 congresspeople were prepared to argue and object to Biden's certification on January 6th, right? And we talk about that in the article. So anyway, let Tucker tell you a little bit more, and then we're going to rope these up because we only do 4 minutes here.
Now, keep in mind that any claim you make as an American citizen about electors, any claim you make about American politics, period, is protected explicitly under the First Amendment.
So it is protected First Amendment, but a bigger point that he's making there, in addition to First Amendment, is that it is a political question, and they're trying to investigate this whole claim that the January 6th committee has been talking about. Anyway, that's the biggest story of the day. You're up to date on that in 4 minutes or less, and if you enjoyed this, I hope you tune back in again tomorrow. Again, we do these right around 5:30, 5:45. I go live on Twitter first, and then I come here. So around that time, you should be able to find it.